Most CPG, subscription, and replenishment brands lose customers because they don't map the full buyer journey. In this video, I'm going to walk you through every stage, from first click to loyal subscriber, so you can keep more customers and boost retention. If you're running a brand that sells consumables or subscriptions, this is built for you. My name's Nolan. I run the only email and SMS marketing agency for subscription-style brands. Now let's dive in. All right, so this is the full customer journey map for CPG, subscription, and replenishment brands. We're going to go through from awareness, consideration, to purchase, to retention, advocacy, and finally churn. So let's start with awareness, right? This is more like top of funnel. So think like, where are your customers coming from? Are they coming from paid ads, content, affiliates, partnerships, stuff like that? And now they're getting kind of aware of your brand. And it's really right here where they land on your website for the first time, or they basically click on your website for the first time. And the transition here that we're trying to do is we're trying to get them from first click to sign up here. So signing up for like the email, the SMS lists, things like that. So what is the goal of this part right here? What's the goal of this part of the journey map here? So the goal here is to capture attention and grow your email and SMS list, like I said. So what can you do to do this? So you can use things like pop-ups, sign-up forms, lead magnets, basically just like exchanging something valuable or free or cheap or something like that for the email SMS address. So without these things, essentially 97.5%, around 97.5% of your customers or visitors will leave your site forever. And this isn't made up. It's based on a 2.5 to 3% average conversion rate for Shopify stores. And essentially without pop-up sign-up forms or lead magnets, site visitor only has two options: either buy or leave the store. And if only 3% are buying, then that means 97% of visitors are leaving. And finally, how are we going to do this? Well, the best thing you can really do here is use a really good intro offer in your pop-up. And this is kind of site-wide or company-wide or whatever that you should be doing, but it's not just limited to your pop-up. But essentially what you should be doing is just have a really, really good, strong first-time buyer intro offer for people who are coming into your brand cold and need a little bit more push to get over the first purchase there. All right, so that's the awareness, first click to sign up stage. Now let's talk about the consideration stage here. Now there's a couple of different things here within the consideration stage that I want to address. And the first one here is someone that has been active on your website, but they did not actually browse anything. So what I mean by this is they were maybe on the home page, but they didn't go to a product page or a collection page or anything like that. The goal with these people is really to just bring these visitors back to the website. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use something called a site abandonment flow here. And a site abandonment flow is essentially something that triggers when somebody was on your website, and they didn't browse any products or collections, or they didn't add to cart, they didn't start checkout, and obviously they didn't purchase as well. So we're going to use what's called a site abandonment flow. So why are we going to want to do this? Well, these people, they showed interest in something, right? They showed interest in your brand, but something stopped them from taking the next step with us. Something stopped them from, browsing a product, adding to cart, stuff like that. Well, inside the site abandonment flow, we're going to answer any questions they may have. We're going to remind them about our brand again and just kind of re-educate them on the brand, who you are, who you serve, why you do it, your values, whatever like that, your goals. And you just essentially want to overcome all objections that somebody might have and show them a ton of social proof here. The next step in the consideration phase here is somebody that was active on site. Maybe they browsed a product or collection, but they didn't actually end up adding anything to cart or starting checkout. So the goal here with these people is to bring these browsers back to the product or collection page that they were initially browsing, right? And so what can you do to do this? Well, it's pretty simple here. Again, we're going to use a browse abandonment flow. So it's different from the site abandonment flow. It's now something called a browse abandonment flow. Why do we want to do this? Why does it matter that we do this? Well, again, these people showed interest in our brand. They showed interest in a product, and it's actually a little bit more interest than the site abandonment flow. But again, something stopped them from adding something to cart. And finally, how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to show them the product or collection that they were looking at. Again, we're basically going to pull in that like dynamic variable of like, hey, this person was looking at this. We're going to show them the picture of that, the specific product. We want to overcome specific objections here about the specific product that they were looking at. We want to show specific social proof, again, about the product that they were looking at or the collection they were looking at. We want to ask if they need any help here, and that's a big one that people overlook. And one thing you can do here is you can split this by prospects versus returning customers, and you can show prospects a discount here that they can use. All right, I'm sure you can predict what's coming next here, but basically now we're going to look at somebody that's active on site. They browsed a product or collection, and they actually added something to their cart, but they did not go to checkout yet. So can you guess what this goal of this is going to be? So basically the goal is going to be to bring people back to their cart that actually added something to their cart. Pretty simple here. We're going to use a cart abandonment flow. This is definitely something that you guys have heard of before. This is basically when somebody abandons their cart, but not their actual checkout page. That we'll save for the next one. So again, we talked about this, but this matters a lot because as you go up this abandonment flow ladder, these people are getting warmer and warmer and warmer as you go out. As you go up, the purchase intent is higher and higher and higher. And so here they showed interest again, but something stopped them from going to checkout. So how are we going to do this? Well, again, we just want to show the products very simply that they added to cart. We want to address specific objections, again, that somebody may have around buying a specific product on your store. You want to show, again, specific social proof, testimonials, reviews, any publications that your product was featured in for this specific product that they have in their cart right now. Again, ask if they need any help, and again, split by prospects versus returning customers so you can show prospects that discount. Alrighty, last but not least, people that were active on site. They browsed the product or collection, they actually added to cart, they went to checkout, but they did not order, so they did not purchase anything. The goal with these people is to essentially just bring them back to their checkout page and hopefully check out, right? And hopefully order something. So again, very simple here. What are we going to use? We're going to use something called an abandoned checkout flow. And yes, this is different from the cart abandonment flow in that it's only going to be sent to people who actually went to the checkout page, not just added something to cart and didn't finish their purchase. You already know why this is important, but they showed massive interest here by adding something to checkout, but something stopped them from placing their order. And this can really be anything, right? Maybe the dog started barking, maybe the baby started crying, maybe something happened and it took their attention away for a split second and they abandoned their order. So very similar to the cart abandoned flow here, we're going to essentially just show them the products they have sitting in their checkout. We're going to, again, address specific objections around the product or products that they have in their checkout right now. Again, show that specific social proof and ask if they need help. And then again, split by prospects versus returning customers here. So very, very, very similar here for these 4 abandonment flows here. And all of these abandonment flows, they work together to bring all your visitors, your site visitors, back to your website so they can hopefully move from site visitors to browse abandoners to cart abandoners to checkout abandoners and then eventually to making a purchase, right? All right, so we're still in the consideration phase here, and now things get a little bit different. We're not just looking at people who have, maybe abandoned some sort of product or anything like that. Now we're looking at people who are just have been active on your website. They've opened and clicked emails or SMS messages in the last 30, 60, or even 90 days. Now, what do we want to do with these people? Because they are part of your customer journey, right? These people are super engaged. So what are we thinking here for these people? So the goal with these people really is to nurture your most engaged subscribers. These are your most engaged subscribers right now over a certain time period, right? But still your most engaged subscribers. We want to educate them. We want to entertain them, and we want to just keep them up to date on everything that we're doing, our promos right now, anything like that. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to do this through email and SMS campaigns. So these are different from flows in that campaigns are sent one-time basis. And these are things more that are like seasonal, whereas flows are sent kind of on an automatic basis when somebody does a specific thing on the website, like maybe they placed an order and they get the order confirmation email, right? Or in the examples before, they abandoned a product and they get the checkout abandon flow. These are one-time sends that people are going to get that are more seasonal, right? There may be your seasonal offers like Labor Day sale or Memorial Day sale or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or even things that are just more about educating your customers, like how to use your certain product or addressing one FAQ on your website or showing one really good testimonial from your website or just again re-educating people on your brand here. Now, why do we want to do this with these people? So these people have engaged with your email or they've engaged with your SMS messages or even just been active on your site recently, which means that they are potentially in buy mode here. These people want to hear from you, right? They want your content, they want all of your emails, and they really want your best offers here. All right, so how are we going to do this finally? Well, like I said, we're going to send seasonal emails here, educational emails, entertaining emails, and even like exclusive promos via email and SMS campaigns here. A good rule of thumb here is to use the 70-30 rule when it comes to email campaigns in particular. So I like to keep my email campaigns for our clients. We like to keep them at 70% value-oriented emails, which means educational, entertaining, engagement-based emails, and 30% offers, which means, hey, buy one, get one, percentage off, dollar off, tiered discounts, things like that. 30% offers, 70% value. And then because SMS is a little bit more expensive and it's got a little bit less real estate, we like to do 100% offers for SMS messages. We don't like to waste credits on anything else other than just the offers for SMS. All right, so we're still in consideration here, and we're in the last part of the customer journey for consideration here. These are people who clicked an email but did not purchase. So the goal with these people is to really quickly try and save the sale with timely notifications here. Now, this is one of the most underrated flows in all of e-commerce, and it's one of my favorite ones. I actually recently made a video on this, and this is called the 1 hour or 1-click rescue flow. It's a flow that we kind of termed here that is super, super powerful. So essentially, why do you want to send emails to these people in the first place? So these people are super, super engaged, meaning they've taken significant actions with purchase intent here. And these actions right now are clicking an email, right? Not a whole lot of people click your emails. Normally you get 1, 2, or 3, or 4% of people who actually open your email to click your emails, right? So these people have taken significant actions with purchase intent. And what this means really is we need to be aggressive with these people here. And we can be aggressive with these people here because they've taken such significant purchase intent actions. So how are we going to do this? We're going to create an automated flow and set it up so that it sends a rescue email 1 hour after somebody clicks an email but does not buy anything. So what are we going to put in this email? We're going to put maybe like a super, super limited time discount where it's like, this expires in 2 hours. Use it right now so that you can save or whatever, or get something free or whatever it is. And it's going to get crazy results for you because again, you're following up in an aggressive way to your most super engaged email subscribers here. So a pro tip, if you don't want to be like super aggressive with your customers here, you can only do this seasonally for like maybe Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for example, and only send like this super aggressive strategy flow email during those more like aggressive sale heavy periods, right? Now, we do have Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up, so this is a great time to experiment with a flow like this for your BFCM strategy. I would suggest giving it a try. All right, so now we're talking about the purchase stage of the customer journey here. And this is really important here because it's very specific to CPG, subscription, and replenishment brands because they're different from like an apparel brand, for example, or maybe a furniture brand, or, really anything other than a CPG replenishment or subscription brand. You need a specific welcome to post-purchase strategy to actually get people to convert repeatedly. Because again, you're different from a lot of other brands in that you do have recurring purchase behavior. So the first thing here we're going to talk about is getting a new sign up or a new email SMS subscriber to make their first purchase here. So what is the goal here? The goal is to turn fresh signups into first-time customers. And we're going to do this by using a welcome series. So you guys have all heard of a welcome series, I'm sure. It's a super, one of your most powerful email and SMS flows that you can create for your brand. So we're going to use a welcome series here for you guys. So why are we doing this? If they don't buy early, your customers, your subscribers, if they don't buy early, most will never buy. And so we want to have a really, really, really big emphasis on this welcome series here because it's the first impression that someone has with your brand. And it's really going to shape the entire kind of customer journey as it goes forward. And, how they know your brand, what they know about your brand, what they know about your products, and everything like that. So how are we going to do this? We're going to, at its very bare bones basic, we're going to tell our brand story in a way that resonates with our customers, in a way that customers can digest the information easily. We're going to share our top products, our best sellers, and we're going to remind them to use their intro offer from before that we talked about in the pop-up, or essentially just a first purchase incentive here. So again, this intro offer is going to work hand in hand with your welcome series, with your pop-up and everything else. So it's really important to nail this and have a really, really, really strong intro offer for your brand. All right, so now what do we do when someone makes a purchase and we want to get them to the second purchase? Because this is one of the most important things that you can do and focus on for your post-purchase journey. Because if you can get people to the second purchase, you can predict retention with a lot greater accuracy. So the goal here is to stop churn at the danger zone, right? This is where the biggest drop off happens, where from the first purchase to the second purchase. So we want more people who purchased once to purchase a second time. And if we can do that, LTV skyrockets, lifetime value skyrockets through the roof. And that's where you start to make your actual profit within your business, right? And that's kind of all we're kind of aiming for here. So what are we going to use here for this? We're going to use an onboarding flow for new customers. So similar to like a software company or a SaaS, software as a service company, would onboard new users, we're going to kind of do a very similar thing here. So again, why does this matter? Well, like I said, the biggest drop off happens after the customer's first order. And so we want to make sure that we're really timely and accurate with what we're doing here. So how are we going to do this? Essentially, we're going to focus a lot on education here. Education around your brand, the benefits that people get from your brand. A good way to do this is to show people what they're going to feel or what they should experience after 1 month with your product, after 3 months with your product, and even after 9 to 12 months with your product. So you can get people on the right track thinking, okay, well, I'm going to use this for 12 months because I want to feel that benefit. And that's a great way to go about that. We want to remind them to reorder. So like replenishment reminders. And a great way to figure out the correct timing for replenishment reminders for this, your first purchase to second purchase is to, number one, you can look at average time between orders. So average time between orders for all orders from the first order to the second order. So again, we're focusing on just 1 through 2 right now. And I know we don't have a whole lot of customer data here because we're only looking at one time frame in history. So what you can do here is you can also look at specific like product history here. So what I mean here is that all people who buy a specific product, you could say, okay, how long does it take for the person that buys this specific product here to buy that product again? And you could basically just find the average here for that. And then you can basically find the correct replenishment reminder cycle for each product that you have. All right, so we're past purchase, and now we're on to kind of the retention phase of the customer journey map here. And right now, we're going to look at when somebody makes their second purchase, how can we get them to their third and fourth purchases here? So the goal here is to turn repeat buyers into regulars. And what are we going to do here to accomplish this? Essentially, we're going to use campaigns. So we talked about email and SMS campaigns before for the engaged users. Well, we're going to do something very similar here for these repeat buyers, these second-time purchasers, so we can get them over the hill. Second and third-time purchasers, so we can get them over the hill to make their next purchase, their next person, and next purchase. So another thing we're going to do here is post-purchase nurture flows. So automated flows that go out after someone purchases, and we're going to split this by order number. So basically first order, second order, third order, Well, these are all going to kind of go different places, right? They're going to have different emails and different flows that people are going to get based off of what number order they're on. So why do we want to do this? Well, it's pretty obvious. More purchases equals higher lifetime value, and higher lifetime value equals higher profit and higher take-home pay for you as the brand owner. And so that's a pretty good reason why we're going to focus on this here. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use post-purchase nurture flows like we talked about, split by order count. We're going to use replenishment reminders here again, and personalized offers for repeat customers specifically. So we used like the intro offer in the beginning. Now we want to find different offers that we can offer to repeat customers. Now, you don't have to dig too far into the margins for your repeat customers because it's way easier to get a customer to buy again than it is to get someone who has never heard of your website to purchase from you. So we don't need to dig way deep into the margins here, and we don't even really need to dig into the margins at all if you're not comfortable with it. But we do need some sort of personalized feeling offers that we can offer to these specific customers here. Now, we already kind of talked about this, but a pro tip here is essentially now that there is a lot more customer history, we can look at the average time between orders for customers moving from order number 3 to order number 4, and basically so on, 2 to 3, anything like that. And we can send replenishment reminder emails at that time interval. You just want to be careful that if somebody orders like double the amount, that obviously you're waiting double the time. And little things like that. All right, so now we're going to talk about turning repeat buyers into subscribers here. And so the goal here is to lock in that recurring revenue, right? Monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue is kind of the gold standard, right? People love to be able to know, okay, I'm going to pull in this amount of money next month because I have X amount of subscribers. So I have guaranteed revenue monthly. So again, what we're going to use is we're going to use campaigns, email and SMS campaigns that we send to our engaged subscribers. We're also going to send these, again, like I said, to the repeat buyers. And these are very, very similar in how they work together here, right? These campaigns that we're sending to these repeat buyers, well, they're going to turn some people into subscribers, and they're also just going to get some people to make their next purchase, even if they don't subscribe. So we've talked a lot about offers here, but again, we want to make really attractive subscription offers for people to, feel like there's real benefit in signing up for an actual subscription. So whether that's, like a big percentage off or a big dollar amount off per month when you actually subscribe, whether that's some sort of benefits that you can't get anywhere else when you subscribe, no matter what it is, we just need to create a really, really attractive subscription offer if we want more and more people on the actual subscriptions. Again, we're going to do post-purchase flows here, very similar to the ones here, split by order count. And a really cool way to do this is to actually use subscribe and save pop-ups for repeat customers. So very similar to how you showed first-time website visitors that intro offer pop-up. We're going to show repeat customers that have not subscribed this subscribe and save pop-up here. So we already kind of talked about why, but subscriptions create predictable recurring revenue, and it's kind of the gold standard, like I said. Alrighty, so how are we going to do this? Well, step one is you really want to create a really attractive and irresistible subscription offer. Step two would be basically to just highlight the convenience and benefits religiously across all of your post-purchase flows here. You can never educate your customers and email subscribers enough here. You really just want to, highlight this all over the place in your post-purchase flows and everything. And like I said, number three, we're going to show repeat buyers who have not yet subscribed that subscribe and save pop up or fly out. So it just kind of reminds people, hey, it's there. These are the benefits. It's in their face and they can't deny it, right? All right, awesome. Now we're going to talk about advocacy, right? This is kind of the next stage in the journey after retention. It's essentially turning your best customers, your subscribers, into brand advocates for you. So the goal here is to turn loyal customers into promoters of our brand, right? Well, why do we actually want to do this? Well, word of mouth drives a ton of trust. It's the best thing you can get in marketing, right? And what it's going to do here is it's going to lower your customer acquisition cost a ton because, again, word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing there is. And on top of this, subscribers are your best customers. So that's why we're kind of sticking to let's turn subscribers into brand advocates for now. So how can we do this? Well, there's many things that you can do here. There's things like a referral program that you can implement. And there's a lot of kind of post-purchase or post-checkout notifications or pop-ups or anything like that you can put at the actual thank you page or the checkout page to encourage people to join like a referral program. There's loyalty programs that you can do. Obviously, you can encourage people to leave reviews. Even more powerful would be to encourage people to actually create content around your product and everything like that. And then also just kind of creating a community around these people is another great way to turn your subscribers into brand advocates, right? It doesn't have to be a full-blown like Discord community, but it could be, right? It could be. So essentially, you just kind of want to think outside the box here. And even if you have to reach out to these people in like a one-on-one fashion, there can be a real ROI here, return on investment of doing this one-to-one, these one-to-one things with these people who again are your best customers. All right, and then finally here we have churn, and I'm going to talk about these things kind of uh, together here a little bit. So we have people that signed up but never purchased. These are prospects still, right? They have never purchased anything. We have past customers who went cold and haven't purchased from us in a while. And then we also have long-term inactive subscribers here. And these are people that just have not engaged or anything like that, and haven't opened emails or anything like that in a long time. So the goal with these people really is to try and win over these cold prospects one last time. The goal with these customers is to attempt to reactivate these lapsed buyers. And finally, the goal with these long-term inactive subscribers is actually to kind of clean your email and SMS list a little bit. Squeeze any last sales that you can out of them and just protect your overall deliverability, because these people that are on your list, ultimately they're hurting your deliverability score by keeping them there. So what are we going to use for these prospects here that have not engaged? Well, we're going to use a prospect win-back flow. And similar to the prospect win-back flow, for these past customers, we're going to use a purchase win-back flow. And then finally over here for these really unengaged users, we're going to use something called a sunset flow. So why does this matter that we should re-engage prospects or attempt to win them back, right? Well, they signed up for a reason. They signed up for your email and SMS list for a reason, but now they're cold. So we don't want to just forget about them just yet. Why does this matter for purchase win-back flow? Why are we even bothering doing this? Well, reactivating past customers is much cheaper than actually finding new customers. So this is a very worthy cause here. And finally, why are we even bothering with these unengaged users in the first place? These people are essentially the worst people on your email and SMS list, right? Well, we still need to protect our deliverability here. So these people on our list, they are essentially just dead weight, a lot of them, and they hurt deliverability over time. So what are we going to do for the prospect win-back flow? How are we going to do this? We're essentially going to set a prospect win-back flow timing trigger to trigger 60 to 75 days after somebody signs up but did not purchase in the entire time, basically. You want to basically ask if they need help, try and re-educate them on the brand again. Again, show some best sellers that you have, and just ultimately address objections here. One of the more powerful things that's gonna work here is asking them if they need help or what they need help with. Something like, "Hey, most people have purchased by now. Is there a reason that you haven't?" And then give them like maybe a couple of options to choose from, like A, B, C, or D. That works really well in text flows, especially. All right, moving on to the purchase win back flow. How are we going to set this up? So essentially what you want to do here is you want to set your trigger to either 75 days or 2.5 times your buying cycle. So if you have a supplement that lasts 30 days, well, 2.5 times that would be 75. So it kind of, that's what we kind of base it off of there. So again, you want to do this after someone purchases. So 2.5 times the buying cycle after somebody purchases. Again, they did not buy anything again or anything like that. And you want to do very similar stuff here. You want to ask if they need help. Again, re-educate on the brand. Again, you want to show any best sellers. And what you can do here is you already have some data here because they purchased before. So you can either show, hey, more of the same. Do you want more of the same product that you already ordered? Or maybe you want to try a complementary product. You say, hey, people that purchased this before also really liked this product as well. And again, just address any specific objections that you think that they might have at this part of the customer journey. All right, and then finally, how are we going to do the sunset flow? So basically, you want to run a sunset flow for people who have not opened or clicked an email or have been active on your site. So they haven't been on your site, they haven't clicked any emails or opened any emails in 150 days. Essentially, what you want to do here is you want to send last chance offers. They don't have to be anything too crazy here. Just kind of simple offers. Essentially, you want to also include a way for them to self unsubscribe. And I know this sounds pretty crazy, but it saves you time in the long run by having people click a button and self unsubscribe within the email. So, boom, there we go. Awareness, consideration, purchase, retention, advocacy, and finally churn. Hope you guys got value out of this video.